There's a bunch of researchers out there that have been exposing NASA for the fraud that they are. And there's a series, if you haven't seen it yet on YouTube, unless it's been taken down, you can check and see if it's still up, called NASA Fake Images of Earth Smoking Gun Parts 1 through 5. NASA Fake Images of Earth Smoking Gun Parts 1 through 5. And this guy goes through a bunch of the NASA photo archives on their website and plays around in Photoshop with different levels and whatnot, and shows how they got crazy masks over them, and it's all fraudulent. And I've been in communication, sort of behind the scenes, with Matt Boylan, and he was a former NASA realistic painter. He does photorealistic painting, and he's like, this is a painting, and there's so many pictures and videos out there that are so easy to show that what they're showing us is fraudulent. But the one that was the moment that NASA shot themselves in the foot, boom, was just recently when they put out that video showing the Earth from about 1.5 million miles away, allegedly, satellite over 1 million miles away, looking towards the Earth, and the moon goes in front of the Earth. If you haven't seen that, look it up. That one right there is the video that NASA's basically saying, you know what, we're throwing in the towel ourselves. We're full of crap, and we know it, and we're just going to tell you, yep, we're full of crap. See if you can figure it out. Because when the moon goes in front of the Earth, okay, first of all, the dark side of the moon should have been very bright, because the Earth was fully illuminated, which means the sun was behind the satellite camera, okay? Behind the satellite, shining directly on the Earth. The whole Earth is illuminated. And then the moon comes out, into the frame and crosses in front of the Earth, but the moon's not very bright. It's brighter than that on the night sky. Just go outside and look at the moon right now. Moon was dark. That was the first cue something's not right. Secondly, as the moon is between the sun and the Earth and the camera, and it goes across the Earth, no shadow. There's no shadow. There should be a shadow on the Earth. Because if you got a moon going like this right in front of the sun, well, that's called a solar eclipse. And a solar eclipse is basically when there's a shadow on the Earth because the moon is obscuring the sun. There's no shadow anywhere here as the moon is going by. No shadow. It says right here, these images were taken between 3:50 p.m. and 8:45 p.m. EDT on July 16th, showing the moon moving over the Pacific Ocean near North America. The North Pole is in the upper left corner of the image, reflecting the orbital tilt of the Earth from the vantage point of the spacecraft. Okay, so this is telling you from 3:50 to 8:45 p.m., basically for 5 hours. That's what this animation, this is a time lapse. It's still frames put together to create an animated GIF showing essentially 5 hours worth of the Earth's alleged rotation. In 5 hours, folks, do you see any clouds changing, morphing, dissipating? I talked about this before in my website, testingtheglobe.com. I think it was where was it? I think it was in the opening statements. And testingtheglobe.com, in the opening statements, I showed you a bunch of stuff dealing with the Earth, and I showed you this video of the Earth taken on December 11th, 1990 by the Galileo space probe. And once again, no clouds moving. This is a 25-hour time lapse. This is showing the Earth moving in 25 hours. Now, some people have said there is some movement in the clouds, and this apparent low-res video is not really showing it. But even if there is slight movement in 25 hours, really, come on. I could take my camera and go set it up outside right now for 1 hour, and you're going to see all kinds of clouds doing crazy stuff. Clouds showing up, clouds moving, clouds dissipating and disappearing. Okay, now when you go back to this one, this is a pretty good picture, pretty high res. No clouds are changing in 5 hours. Now you got, look at this spiral thunderstorm right here, just west of Mexico. Okay, that should be moving. It's not. It's not spinning. That should be spinning 5 hours. It's not. This formation here, this isn't, nothing's changing. Now, some people are trying to show me that they are changing, but what they're mistaking is the angle at which you're looking at it. Well, see, the cloud looks different here. Well, that's because it's just rotated past you. It's not moving, though. None of these clouds are moving. Really? Okay, here's time lapse of like an hour or two. Clouds move. And yet every time NASA shows us a spinning Earth, the clouds never move. They don't change, they don't arrive, they don't dissipate, nothing. So, okay, moon going by, the sun's behind the camera, and yet there's no shadow, there's no solar eclipse, no shadow on the Earth of the moon going by, no clouds moving. But this is what really got me. The camera is about 1 million miles away, looking toward the Earth, and the moon comes between the camera and the Earth, and it's about 25% or so the size of the Earth. Okay, pause that picture, pause that image, stare at it. The same way I asked you guys to stare at the word circle and the word ball on Google. If you can find this video, when the moon gets right in between the camera and the Earth, pause it, stare at it, and see what you can figure out is wrong with it. Because I'll tell you, the first thing that popped out to me was, if that's the way the real scale is, from 1 million miles away on the other side of the moon, looking toward the Earth, then if you're standing on the moon and you're going to take a picture of the Earth will be covering the entire sky. You'll be looking at blue water and entire continents. You will not be able to see black anywhere in the sky. Everywhere you look, you'll be seeing the Earth, which basically means every single picture you have ever seen allegedly taken on the moon of the Earth is total crap. They just exposed themselves with this most recent high-tech camera, high-tech satellite, 21st century technology, just exposed the entire Apollo space program as completely and utterly bogus. And if that's the case, and I'm going to just tell you guys to go search it out, because I know a bunch of you will. I've got a bunch of other stuff I got to deal with right now, so but I'm going to dive into it as well. Okay, if that's the case, then we're talking about treason. Let's call it for what it is. That means they have defrauded the American public of billions of dollars. Billions.
Billion, 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 trillions, million, 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 billion, 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 million, billion, 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 million, million, billion, 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 million, 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 millions, billion, million, 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 billions
of dollars. They have stolen from the American public. That's money that could have been used to feed the hungry, house the homeless, clothe people, right? We should be able to end starvation, at least in our country. You want to talk about free health care for everybody? Well, there you go. They wasted billions of dollars on a fraud, and NASA proved it to you. They proved it to you with this latest picture. So, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, yep, you know what? Here's the video that NASA made me a flat earther, because they're telling you point blank that they're full of crap. And you got other people out there doing an apologetic on this thing, right? This is TheVerge.com, says that moon and Earth GIF is totally real, debunking Twitter's conspiracy theories. All right. So this is a fairly recent article. It came out August 12th. Last week, NASA gave us a small cosmic gift, releasing a short gift of the moon passing in front of Earth. The gift was made from a compilation of images taken by the Earth Polychromatic Imaging Camera, EPIC. It's an epic fail, on the Discover satellite, located 1 million miles from Earth. Discover is meant to observe is meant to observe Earth's climate from afar and gives us a view of our planetary system we don't often see. But some people just can't accept the good things in life. Many who saw the GIF immediately cried foul, saying they were certain the images were fake. And they got some Twitter comments here, people saying that it's Photoshop or whatnot. And the article says, to be fair, who can really blame them? We live in a Photoshop manipulated world. People are constantly trying to trick us into thinking that flood waters bring sharks to neighborhood streets, or that today is the day Marty McFly goes forward in time. It's October 21st, 2015. Never forget that. A healthy dose of skepticism is a valuable asset in an era like this. And they go on. You can read the rest of the article if you want. But this is what really got me. Is in the bottom here, it's talking about shouldn't, somebody wrote here, this guy Carlos wrote, shouldn't Earth look way smaller since the distance between them is huge and the camera is closer to the moon? Sure, Discovery is closer to the moon than it is to Earth, but not by much. The moon is 238,900 miles away from Earth, but Discovery is a whopping 1 million miles away. The satellite is nearly 800,000 miles away from the moon when it passes in front of the planet. From that distance, it's almost like the Earth and the moon are right next to each other when Epic zooms in with its giant telephoto lens. Here are some photos that illustrate this. Okay, so they got a beach ball here and a miniature basketball and the camera set up. Okay, and they're saying, see, when the camera goes way back here and looks towards the moon, see, everything looks exactly right, just the way it is in the animated GIF of the moon going in front of the Earth. Excuse me, for this to be accurate, for this to be a real, true apologetic explanation, you would have to make the distance between these two. You'd have to have 30 beach ball distances between the last, or 29 beach ball distances between the last beach ball and the basketball. In other words, there should be 30 beach balls away for this to work, for this to be accurate. You should have the Earth as the final beach ball of 30 beach balls away from the basketball. Okay? This is a totally bogus attempt to debunk something. All right? And if you don't believe me, go outside and get yourself a beach ball and get yourself, I don't know, a ball that's, like this, comparable in size to you get this basic scale. Go look up the distance of between the Earth and the moon, and you'll see that it's 30 Earths, 30 Earth diameters away. Okay, so somebody's lying here. I've said it for a long time. I don't believe Apollo is true. I think Apollo is a big bunch of crap. But let's assume that Apollo is real, that it really did happen. Then all the pictures that we saw from Apollo, standing on, the Apollo astronauts standing on the moon, looking towards the Earth, they're fairly reasonably accurate in terms of the size of what it should look like 30 Earths away. So then that means this is a fraud. And the accompanying blue marble that came out just before this, and I'll tell you, it's the same exact 3D model that they're using for this, is that they use for the blue marble. And of course, if you flip the blue marble upside down, the clouds just so happen to spell sex. Yeah, I'm sure that's a coincidence. God did that. God must have did that. No, they're using 3D models. Okay, I'm going to do a whole thing on exposing the blue marbles because there's so much to show on that. Needless to say, somebody's lying in the space program. I'm going to say they're all lying. That are they, meaning the ones that are putting out these images. I don't think every single NASA employee is in on it, but whoever's feeding the stuff to the public, they're full of crap. Okay, and they're telling you with these images that that it's fraudulent. If this is the most high-tech imagery that we have right now, 21st century technology, then, and if this imagery is true, then everything that we saw from Apollo is fraudulent. And every single moon landing is fraudulent. And the billions and billions and billions of dollars that went into that, we need to demand back. Let's start paying off the national debt. Okay? Right? You need to pay us back. Anyway, I could go on and on about NASA. Anybody who's still out there who believes NASA and uses NASA as your proof for the globe, you need to get your head examined. I'm sorry. I don't know. Anyway. That one right there is the video that NASA's basically saying, you know what? We're throwing in the towel ourselves. We're full of crap and we know it, and we're just going to tell you, yep, we're full of crap. See if you can figure it out. Because when the moon goes in front of the Earth, okay, first of all, the dark side of the moon, there's a bunch of researchers out there that have been exposing NASA for the fraud that they are. And there's a series, if you haven't seen it yet on YouTube, unless it's been taken down, you can check and see if it's still up, called NASA Fake Images of Earth Smoking Gun Parts 1 through 5. NASA Fake Images of Earth Smoking Gun Parts 1 through 5. NASA Realistic Painter. He does photorealistic painting. And, you know, he's like, this is a painting. This is a painting. And there's so many pictures and videos out there that are so easy to show that what they're showing us is fraudulent. But the one that was the moment that NASA shot themselves in the foot, boom, was just recently when they put out that video showing the Earth from about 1.5 million miles away, allegedly, satellite over 1 million miles away, looking towards the Earth, and the moon goes in front of the Earth. If you haven't seen that, look it up. And this guy goes through a bunch of the NASA photo archives on their website and plays around in Photoshop with different levels and whatnot, and shows how they got crazy masks over them, and you know, it's all fraudulent. And I've been in communication, sort of behind the scenes with Matt Boylan, and you know, he was a former